Hello, I want to welcome you to the third repetition lesson of the Esoteric and Spiritual High School, like it was given by Rudolf Steiner 19 and 24. And so please take care if you want. This is something what we really allowed to call a worship, a divine service, a Christian, a Michael Christian divine worship. So I want to start today with some words of truth from Rudolf Steiner. You who are from brightness of spirit descends into earth's darkness, in the being's reluctance, unfolding mind light, inflame mind warms, obtain spiritual force. My love warms you, bright thinking, calm feeling, healingly will, that rooted in spiritual heights, acting in the earthly foundations, you become servants of the Word, spirit enlightening, love acting, being empowering. The repetition number 3. It is not possible to again give the introduction concerning the obligations for the newly participating members of the class. I therefore request that the members who give the new ones the mantric verses also inform them of the conditions involved, which I will describe at the end of these lessons. My dear sisters and brothers, we will again begin by letting our souls hear the words that human beings, if they have ears to hear them, can hear from all the beings of the surrounding world, which they could hear in the past, can hear in the present, and will hear in the future, which allow them to envision the need for self-knowledge that constantly comes to them from the entire universe, which is the true bridge to what the human being needs for his thinking, for his willing, for his working in the world, if he wishes to be human in the true sense of the word. O man, know yourself. So resounds the world word. You hear it soul powerful. You feel its spirit wasteness. Who speaks so world fastly? Who speaks so felt heartily? Does it act through space distant radiation in your senses being experience? Does it sound through time's wave weaves into your life's evolving stream? Is it you yourself who in space feeling, in experiencing time, creating the world, feeling foreign, sensing in space's emptiness of soul, because you have the force of thinking, losing in the time-destroying stream. My dear sisters and brothers, the description of the path to knowledge has led us to the guardian of the threshold. Once the guardian of the threshold at the edge of the abyss of being has shown us how the forces of our inner humanity, willing, feeling, thinking, appear to the eyes of the beings of the spiritual world. After the guardian has shown us how, in the present time's consciousness, we have not awakened to our full humanity in respect to these forces, if they are inwardly observed, but that these forces appear to the divine spiritual powers as the three beasts which are shown to us by the guardian of the threshold. After the guardian of the threshold has placed this shattering view before our souls, he shows us the path forward which leads to ennoblement in self-knowledge and which must be followed if the exhortation, "O man, know yourself," is to be realized. After he first showed us how we should stand in respect to our thinking, feeling and willing, he shows us in the mantric verses which were seated on the end of the previous lesson in this Michael school, how we are first to delve down into our thinking, but that this thinking is a seeming nature, an illusion, a Maya being that cannot bear our true self, but how we are then interwoven out in the cosmic ether and are at least able to reverse those guiding beings who lead us from earth's life to earth's life. Then he shows us how we can delve down into feeling, how in feeling, being and seeming are united, how they're our being, selfhood in the good sense, arises with half its strength. How, however, we should understand that not only what is perishable and seeming in our being arises, but also the life forces of the world, of the cosmos. Only when we descend into the will do we feel being streaming into our selfhood. Seeming transforms itself into being. It descends into the will, and we feel the cosmic creating powers streaming through our will. These were the guardian of the threshold's words at the edge of the abyss of being, where the yawning darkness, the night-cloaked darkness is still before us, which is not become light in order that we find a light that can illuminate our actual self. Behind us is the glowing sunlit physical reality which only becomes dark because we cannot find our actual being in it. There the guardian of the threshold says, the mantric words. See in yourself the thoughts weaving, world semblance you are experiencing, selfhood being hides from you. Dive under into the semblances. Ether being flows in you, selfhood being it shall revere, your spirit guide being, to hear within the flow of feeling, when semblance and reality merge each other. Your selfhood tilts to the semblance, so dive into semblance being, and world's soul's forces are in thee. The selfhood it should well consider, your own soul's life powers. Let prevail in you the will's trust, which rises out from all semblance being, with own being creating rises up, turning to him all your life, which is filled with world spirit power. Your own being it should grasp, world creative power in the spirit eye. The mantra is written on the blackboard. The guardian speaks. See in yourself the thoughts weaving, world semblances you are experiencing, selfhood being hides from you. Dive under into the semblances, ether being flows in you, selfhood being it shall revere, your spirit guide being, to hear within the flow of feeling, when semblance and reality merge each other. Your selfhood tilts to the semblance, so dive into semblance being, and world's soul's forces are in thee. The selfhood it should well consider, your own soul's life powers. Let prevail in you the will's trust, which rises out from all semblance being, with own being creating rises up, turning to him all your life, which is filled with world spirit power. Your own being it should grasp world creative power in the spirit eye. The guardian of the threshold has spoken a mantric verse to us, of which we should not only receive its content, but rather with our whole feeling we should enter into the weave and live of the spiritual world. Therefore this mantric verse is shaped so that in its rhythms it appears as having moved downwards from the spiritual world. Each line begins with a stressed syllable followed by an unstressed syllable. So we have in the first verse, while speaking, the trochaic rhythmic symbols are placed above the first syllables of each line and then spoken with the appropriate stress. See in yourself the thoughts weaving, world semblances you are experiencing. Selfhood being hides from you. Dive under into the semblances. Either being flows in you. Selfhood being it shall revere. Your spirit guide being. This coming down by the spiritual world to us is to be felt in the trochaic rhythm. Only then do we receive the verse correctly in our souls. Only when this speakings down to us by the spiritual world is with the intonation do we receive this verse in our souls correctly, feeling it deeply within us. See in yourself the thoughts weaving, world semblance you are experiencing. Selfhood being hides from you. Dive under into the semblance. Ether being flows in you. Selfhood being it shall revere. Your spirit guide being. The next verse is opposite. Now we should rise with our feeling to being. Here the first syllable we are below. Here the second syllable we strive upwards to being. The unstressed low tone is before the stressed high tone. While speaking the iambic rhythm, symbols are placed over the first two syllables of each line, and it is spoken with the corresponding intonation. To hear within the flow of feeling, when semblance and reality merge each other, your selfhood tilts to the semblance. So dive into semblance being, and worlds, souls, forces are in thee. The selfhood it should well consider your own soul's life powers. We must live in these words, which are mantrically united in these rhythms, to hear within the flow of feeling, when semblance and reality merge each other. Your selfhood tilts to the semblance, though dive into semblancing being, and worlds, souls, forces are in thee. the selfhood it should well consider, your soul's life powers. That we have entered in reality is expressed in that we first revere, which is an inner soul function, in that we then understand, where we gradually come alongside the process in that we first arrive at the guiding beings, who are to guide us then the living powers, which weave and live through life. In one mantric verse, all is in the right place, and all is integrated in the organism of the whole. The third verse tells us how we perceive being directly in the will. We stand alongside being, two high-toned syllables begin. While speaking, the spondic symbols are placed over the first two syllables of each line on the blackboard, and the lines are spoken with the corresponding emphasis. Let prevail in you the will's trust, which rises out from all semblance being, with own being creating rises up, turning to him all your life, which is filled with world spirit power. Your own being it should grasp, world creative power in the spirit eye. We have now come farther. It is no longer understand, it is grasp, which is an action. The creative cosmic force instead of living powers is placed at the beginning of the line to indicate the complete reversal we make when rising from shame to being. The beginning of each line of the third verse is therefore to be felt in a spondic rhythm. Here we have trochaic. Trochaic is written alongside the first verse. Here we have iambic. It is written alongside the second verse. And here we have spondic. It is written alongside the third verse. Let prevail in you the will's trust, which rises out from all semblance being, with own being creating rises up, turning to him all your life, which is filled with world spirit powers. Your own being is should grasp, world creative power in the spirit eye. After the guardian of the threshold has presented this in our souls, he makes us aware of how we should integrate ourselves into the cosmos, into the world with all its forces if we want to advance in spiritual knowledge. For what is within us is at first not distinguishable according to its place, whereas in the cosmos it is ordered. In the cosmos we can indicate the definite place. Within us everything is interwoven, but we do not achieve real knowledge if we do not rise up to the cosmic forces and the cosmic powers. If we remain subjective in ourselves, remaining in our own skin, if we do not go out of ourselves and let our body become the whole world, then will our soul, our narrow humanity, feel itself to be a member of the cosmos. The Spirit will integrate our narrow humanity into the whole cosmos, into the whole world. We must carry this out, as the guardian of the threshold indicates when he shows us how, from the depth of the earth, which draws all the beings by gravity, forces arise which also draw us down, which bind our will to the earth. If we don't make ourselves free for inner striving, our gaze goes earthward. If we want to localize our will, we must feel ourselves one with the earth's gravity, feel drawn by the earth and make the effort to free ourselves from the earth's gravity if we want to let our will to be one with the cosmos. Feel how the earth's depth there forces your essence being, pressing into the body limbs. You lose yourself in them if you, your will powerless, entrust to their striving. They will darken your eye. Thus speaks the guardian of the threshold to our willing, on behalf of Michael at the yawning abyss of being, and in wanting to integrate our feeling into the cosmos, he does not direct us to the depths, but to the horizontal reaches of the world, where the forces swing from west to east, from east to west, permeating us. These are the same forces that grasp our feeling. We must feel the divine godly powers who send these spiritual light in these pulsing waves from the horizontal direction, if we wish to integrate our feeling into the cosmic distance. In order to integrate our willing into the vertical, feeling it bound below and freed above, we must be able to send our feeling into the cosmic distance. Then there will be light in our feeling. Then something goes through our feeling which also goes through us, just as the sun illuminates the earth's air when it moves from east to west. However, in all that streams through us we must be loving. The force of love alone, which lives and courses through humanity, can accomplish what is asked of us. Then wisdom will course through us, and we will feel ourselves to be in the wide circles in which the sun moves, as feeling humanity, as self, strong for true and good spiritual creativity. In respect to feeling, the guardian of the threshold at the yawning abyss of being says this to us as feeling human beings. Feel how from world distances godly powers let their spirit brightness, let it shine into your soul being. Find yourself in them laughing, and they creating, wisdom weaving, you as self in their circles, strong for spiritual works of good. And when the guardian of the threshold wants to speak to our thinking so that it integrates itself in the cosmos, he doesn't direct us down to the will, which should rise upwards. He doesn't direct us to feeling in the wide circle in which the sun moves, but he indicates the heights, the heavenly heights, where alone the self can live selfless if it wants to receive the powers of thoughts in what comes with grace from above. If it wants to follow a higher striving, we stand below, the word is above. We must be innerly couraged to hear the word, for only if we courageously strive for wisdom and knowledge does the cosmic word resound from above, full of grace, speaking about humanity's true wisdom. Again, the guardian of the threshold speaks to us at the yawning abyss of being. Feel how in heaven's heights selfhood selflessly can exist, if its spirit filled the thought powers, follows in the pursuit of heights, and with courage gets the words which gracefully intoning from above into man's true essence being. The mantra is written on the blackboard. The guardian instructs us on willing, feeling, thinking. Feel how the earth's depth, their forces, your essence being, pressing into the body limbs. You lose yourself in them. If you, your will, powerless entrust to their striving, they will darken your eye. Feel how from world distances godly powers let their spirit brightness, let it shine into your soul being. Find yourself in them laughing, and they creating, wisdom weaving, you as self in their circles, strong for spiritual works of good. Feel how in heaven's heights selfhood selfless can exist, if its spirit filled the thought powers, follows in the pursuit of height, and with courage gets the words with gracefully intoning from above into man's true essence being. We must look above if our thinking wants to unite itself with the forces of the cosmos. The realm of cosmic circle distance is where we must feel ourselves to be if our feeling wants to unite itself with the cosmic forces. Below is the place where we must look to insert our earth-bound willing, which we should make free above into the cosmic realms. Everywhere above, in the distance and below, everywhere a special being. We must feel it. The guardian of the threshold, on behalf of Michael, points us there, and he tells us what we'll find above, in the middle and below. He instructs us further about the heights, the middle and below, because he wants to instruct us about thinking, feeling and willing. This is what he says. It battles the light with dark forces in the realm where your thinking want to enter into the spirit being. You find striving towards the light, yourself taken from you by spirit. You can when darkness entices you, losing the self in the stuff. We are placed between light and darkness. Light wants ourself, darkness wants ourself. We are to find the path between light and darkness, to come to the self. That is what lies in the guardian of the threshold's admonitions. The guardian speaks to our feeling. It battles the warmth with the coldness. In the realm where your feeling wants to live in spirit weaving, you find loving the warmth, yourself in spirit pleasure blown away. You can, when coldness hardens you, in suffering atomize the self. Again, we are standing between polar oppositions, which with our feeling, between the love, the loving warmth, between warm love and cold hardness, the hardening cold. We must find a path between them, if our self would find itself. And about the third realm, there the will originates. The guardian of the threshold admonishes us. It battles the life with the death. In that realm where your will want to act in spirit creation, you find grasping life, yourself in spirit forces disappearing. You can, if death forces is stemming you in nothingness, cramping the self. Life and death. We can lose our will to life, we can lose it to death. In life feel it vanish, in death feel it constricted. We must seek for the path. The guardian urges us to do so. It will be the subject we begin with in the next lesson. The guardian once more points out how we must seek the path to arrive at our human self. He speaks with the earnest words, for it is not easy to find the inner strength that holds and carries and leads the self to find what it does not have in normal earthly life. We will see later how the guardian gives us the means to do so. Next Saturday, when this mantric verse will be written on the blackboard, We will hear the guardian further as he gradually points out the ways we can go astray, which we must know about in order to find the right path. But now we must again consider looking back at earthly life, which we must do every time we enter the esoteric. So now let us again consider the admonition which was spoken to humankind in the past by all the beings and events, which speaks to humankind in the present and which will speak to humankind in the future. O man, know yourself, so resounds the world's word. You hear its soul powerful, you feel its spirit vastness. Who speaks so word-fastly, who speaks so felt-heartily, does it act through space-distant radiation, in your senses being experienced? Does it sound through time's wave weaves, into your life's evolving stream? Is it you yourself who in space feeling, in experiencing time, creating the world, feeling foreign, sensing in space's emptiness of soul, because you have the force of thinking, losing in the time-destroying stream? When all that streams through this Michael's school, from the guardian on Michael's behalf, when here the instruction in the rightful existence Michael's school penetrates your soul, then we may be sure, if we are honest and open-minded, that Michael's strength will stream through this room, which may be indicated by Michael's sign. And by the seal gesture, through which Michael lets the rose roots cross stream enter the rose-cross temple, and the strength which humanity needs today for its esoteric life, which here acts from the threefold source of the cosmos, from the divine Father principle, from the Christ principle, from the principle of the Spirit, so that the rose-cross first is united with the Michael gesture. Seal. Ex Deo nascimur, in Christo morimur, per Spiritum Sanctum revivissimus, which must be felt so that the gesture are understood as I revere the Father, I love the Son, I unite with the Spirit. Once more, Michael's sign. Ex Deo nascimur, in Christo morimur, per Spiritum Sanctum revivissimus. Thank you very much. And at the end I will say the words of the Michael imagination. Arisen from powers of the sun, shining, world blessing, spiritual powers, for Michael's garment of rays. You are predestined by thought divine. He, the Christ, Christ-herald, revealeth in you, bearing mankind, holy world will. You, the bright Etherworld-beings, bear the Christ-world to mankind. Then Michael appears, the Christ-herald, in awaiting thirsting souls. To them shall shine your enlightening word. In the spirit-man world's time, you, the students of spirit knowledge, take Michael's wisdom bekoning, take the world's will, love word in the soul's high targets effective in. I will say it again in German. Sonnenmächten entsprossene, leuchtende Welten begnadende, Geistesmächte, zu Michaels Strahlen Gleit seid ihr vorbestimmt, vom Götterdenken. Er, der Christusbote, weist in euch menschentragenden, heiligen Weltenwillen, ihr die hellen Ätherweltenwesen, trägt das Christuswort zum Menschen. So erscheint Michael, der Christuskünder, in harrenden, durstenden Seelen. Ihnen scheinet euer Leuchtewort in des Geistes Menschen, Welten, Zeiten, ihr der Geisterkenntnisschüler. Nehmt das Michaels weises Winken, nehmt des Weltenwillens Liebeswort in der Seelenhöhen Ziele wirksam auf. Thank you very much.